Right. But now coming back to the recent five-nation tour of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he went to various countries, Sweden, Netherlands, then Italy. Now there were some high points. We don't know what were the high points, what were the outcomes. There is no way to assess whether the trip was a success or a failure. But we did get to see a lot of embarrassment as far as India is concerned. Look at what happened with the Norwegian press reporter. She asked a question, he happily walked back without answering. What kind of a moment was it, according to you? And how would you summarize that moment?
Well, I think it's a monumental embarrassment. It's a mammoth moment of awkward, a very, shall we say, ill at ease situation for the Prime Minister and awkwardness for the country as a whole. Let's look at the bare facts. Nobody that I knew of Helle Lyng at all. And now she's a global celebrity. And India's right wing called her a foreign agent or George Soros sponsored, whatever. I think that the truth is that India's Prime Minister has never held a press conference, right? Now, Norway happens to be, paradoxically, the country that's number one on the World Press Freedom Index. Now, you ask the Modi government and they will trash the index, saying the index itself is rubbish. Why? Because we are being compared to Palestine and a couple of other countries. But the truth is that a country that calls itself the mother of democracy needs to behave like one. You can't then be a father of dictatorship or essentially epitomizing authoritarianism. Now, Mr. Modi not addressing a press conference for 12 years has been normalized in India as no big deal. And the BJP spokespersons and all the leaders and the supporters say, why do you care? The people love him, he's winning an election. But hang on, winning an election has got nothing to do with accountability or with fielding tough questions from an independent media. So that's embarrassment number one. I think, what was she asking him? Excuse me, will you answer answers on human rights? Now, Neelu, go back to the point that whether he was in Netherlands or in Norway or whichever country he visited, there were protests outside. What we see on television is an extremely manicured, sanitized version of Mr. Modi sitting and, reading off a teleprompter. Journalists all over the world ask questions of the leaders. Let's be honest, even the most discredited leader of the world currently, Donald Trump, does 5 or 4 press conferences in a day. He's always in front of the media, whether he's making a blunder or whether he's, making another faux pas. He's talking to the people. Mr. Modi chooses not to do so at all. And this is now becoming, for the country, an awkward situation because a leader is expected to communicate to the media. That's how news and information reaches out to populations in various corners of the world. I think Helle Lyng's questioning was not at all wrong. The explanation given by the MEA was absolutely bizarre, absurd, and atrocious, talking about India's civilizational heritage to defend why we don't answer questions was ridiculous. The world knows where we are ranked 157 in the World Press Freedom Index. The world knows that the Reporters Without Borders has been saying that the media in this country is operating in a very dangerous environment. The entire global community of media is aware that in India, journalists are threatened. There are FIRs, defamation cases. Journalists like yourself and Ravish and many other, Abhisar and many other people have moved to digital and to podcasts, and you're doing fantastically well. That's a different story. That you were compelled to, you were pushed out of the mainstream media is also not a fact that anybody can conceal from the Modi government. We know how many RTI activists have been hounded. Right now, the Modi government, as we all know, attacking the opposition, the big media is completely sold out. Everybody knows how NDTV was taken away from Dr. Prannoy Roy and handed over to Gautam Adani. Now, listen, we can go on and on, Neelu. But what is the truth? The truth is, in our country, we treat democracy as some kind of a sideshow. An election happens, but even now the elections are getting suspicious and are rigged in more ways than one. The conduct of the Election Commission is an absolute farce. So what democracy are we really talking about? So the truth is...
No, but the brazen manner Modi Prime Minister Modi chose to just walk off the stage in Norway, and then he sends his envoy Shibi George for a defense, and that was such a poor defense, which was not convincing, and he ends up making a fool of himself, and then literally that reporter walks out of that room. Now, is that some kind of a turning point? And look at the way our mainstream media started behaving after that. All the TV channels started showing personal details about Helle Lyng, and then talking all sorts of nonsense about her, that why did she ask a question and all of that. What are we ending up into? I mean, what is this media all about? And is nobody worried? Forget Prime Minister Modi or forget BJP, but no one in the country is worried about the state of media.
Well, I can tell you the big media is largely corporate owned. We all know it. Or they're politically very affiliated to the BJP. Or they're ideologically bending towards the saffron thought process. What is the truth? The truth is the corporates who own big media will subscribe to the Modi government shamelessly. To borrow from L.K. Advani, you're asked to bend, but you'll crawl, and you'll crawl happily. Now, ask yourself this question, that why will they, frankly speaking, question the government when the consequences can be extremely deleterious for them? They get government advertising. Many of them have got other businesses which are much bigger than what media gives you. And think about it, all big media today sound the same. And today, if all channels sound the same, that is not freedom of press. That's the power of broadcasting subsumed by a government. As you know, there are, today I would like to make this point in your channel, that a newsroom is resembling a BJP war room, right? Why do we call it Godi media? The watchdog has become a lapdog. So
Absolutely.
If this is the state of the media, I have said it before and I'll say it again on your show, Mr. Modi has survived as a prime minister or continues to win some elections because of the role of media in this country. The opposition is not heard. Mr. Modi's extraordinary disasters are not even being talked about. The government has been a failure on economic policy, especially on jobs and farmers, etc. Foreign policy has been a flop. I mean, India is in dire straits today. I mean, the dollar, where the dollar rupee is. I mean, we can probably do a program for 10 hours nonstop where the
In fact, right. No, in fact, we've discussed these issues. I don't even remember. I've lost the count how many times we've spoken about these issues. But I also want to come to that melody moment. I don't know who advised Prime Minister Modi to carry a packet of melody chocolates for Miloni. What does it go to show about the diplomacy, the way it is conducted? Is it now more dependent on the viral moment? Is it now more dependent on the hashtags rather than some serious talk?
Well, I will always remind everybody about what L.K. Advani said about Mr. Modi. Now, Advani was a veteran. He had sharp political instincts. So when he said that Mr. Modi is an event manager, what was he telling the people of India? Expect a lot of atmospherics, a lot of drama, a lot of theatrics, histrionics. And that's what Mr. Modi does all the time. From tears down to suddenly getting nostalgic. I mean, he is par excellence when it comes to nothing but he's a performative man. He is what in English language is called as a snake oil salesman. He will sell anything to anybody. Now, and by the way, you got to credit Modi with one thing. He doesn't pretend not to be doing what the world is accusing him of, right? So we all know that he's out there playing to the gallery, manipulating the media, telling people where to stand. Big media follows the commands of the PMO. Everybody knows that, right? All the TV channels sound the same. Mr. Modi has no qualms about not doing a press conference. He is not at all awkward about speaking off a teleprompter. Now, in India, you can get away with it. Abroad, people are not used to it.
No, but I also want you to talk about this melody frenzy, where in the newsrooms we saw anchors gulping down melody chocolates. Then the entire this melody mania, I just couldn't understand. Is this diplomacy or is it some sort of a tamasha? And then to top it all, CNBC TV 18, I saw a story where the vice president of Parle was saying he never expected this, and Blinkit, people were ordering Melody chocolates, and they were running out of stock. And then to talk about another aspect, that Parle real estate, the share prices shot up without any link with the Parle chocolate. Now, all this was stage managed, or do you think that? That was a surprise moment for everyone.
Well, I clearly feel that Mr. Modi is now slipping, and he is on a slippery slope. Whoever advised him to kind of, I think this is a word play, Melody and Melanie, right? It's a word play. Somebody told him this will look very cheeky, it'll look a little quirky, it'll look amusing, and therefore you'll be seen as a very cool guy. I mean, this is trying to play the cool dude kind of. I mean, I'm sure those are what is it?
Cool guy, or he's looking for virality, the viral moment. Hum kya kar le viral ho jaye.
Yeah. So basically, everything is done for what? Modi is a cool guy. Listen, he's talking to a foreign leader. He's giving a chocolate, and they are laughing. And it's like saying, this guy is the guy to lead the country. Look, there's a war on. India's economy is in dire straits, but India's prime minister is such a cool dude. If that was their intention, I can tell you, it was backfired badly. Knowing the BJP, they will use the mainstream media to even make this into like, a strategic breakthrough in diplomacy. But let me tell you the truth. The people of India know what they're going through today. And it's not just about oil prices. In general, it's a mess. Tell me, if a couple of young people start a cockroach Janata Party whose followers exceed the BJP from what I read last, it tells you the extent or the magnitude of current angst.
Their X account has been blocked. Their X account has been blocked today.
There you are. And by the way, Helle Lyng's account also got blocked, yes. Right? Yes. I mean, this is India has become totalitarian. They will be calling all these social media companies, Meta and X and whatever, and saying, block these accounts. We don't want any escalation of this negative publicity against us. And these guys will comply because they make money in this huge consumer market of India. Now, this is basically the story, Neelu. That end of day, Mr. Modi and his government have throttled India for 12 years, and the world knows it. Why do they attack Rahul Gandhi every time he goes abroad, right? They say he's very anti-national because he's critical of India. One is because they have an inferiority complex. Mr. Modi, unlike Rahul Gandhi, you may not agree with Rahul Gandhi's content, some of the stuff he says, that's your personal opinion. I believe he's done a good job and he's gone abroad personally. Why can't he? I mean, whatever he says in India is what he says abroad, right? What you say in India goes abroad on social media at the same time. So if he's saying it abroad, frankly, it doesn't make any difference. But the BJP gets very insecure because he can do things that Mr. Modi can't. Simple. Mr. Modi can't do a press conference. I can't imagine Mr. Modi addressing Berkeley or Oxford or Cambridge or Harvard. No way. Can you imagine Mr. Modi doing a Q&A with anybody? No chance. What will he do? He'll have a teleprompter and he'll read some kind of a speech and people will say, kya speech bola? So I think the right wing has a major inferiority complex. Therefore, they will get into this anti-national tirade. Now, anybody, so if you support Helle Lyng today, they'll say, you know what? The protocol is that you couldn't ask question. Even the Norway Prime Minister did not answer the question. What they will not tell you is, assuming if it was a protocol, Norway's Prime Minister held a press conference later, right? Mr. Modi did not. And the gentleman who spoke on behalf of the MEA, God bless him, he's been tutored in a terrible way. That's not the kind of media training a foreign service officer is expected to have, because this kind of absolute, the right word, frankly, for it is very inappropriate. It's called bullshit. It can fly in India. But that kind of unadulterated nonsense is not going to be absorbed by anybody abroad. So I think Mr. Modi and his trip on a perception parameter has been a complete failure. But of course, the mainstream media will tom-tom it as a great, outstanding success of his very shrewd and conscientious diplomacy. God bless them all. But the truth is, he hasn't held a press conference and India is not a democracy.
Just one more response from you on the particular story with which we started, the Middle East story, where India is sending military grade steel to Israel. What do you think is the biggest takeaway of that story before we wind up the interview?
Well, for me, I think the biggest worry of that will be if that Middle East eye story is 100% factually established. And I hope India's media
It
talks
is.
about it. I hope the Congress party talks about it. They should, because then it's a violation of a very principled stance of the International Court of Justice that talked of genocide. If India is still demonstrating an audacity to say, well, we'll contravene that and we don't care for the consequences, reputational, diplomatic, political, or the fact that we basically abandon any hopes of ever leading the global south, then it's a compromise of India's own national integrity. We'll have to wait and follow this story through. I would like you to do that, because it's going to be then a very shameful day for all of us.
Absolutely.
Because everyone knows what Israel is doing. I mean, people can support Israel ideologically or for whatever reasons they want to. But what's happened in Gaza is genocide, and that cannot be denied. It's ethnic cleansing, is apartheid of the worst order. And by the way, it's not you and me saying that. Israelis are saying that. There are Jews in different parts of the world who have said it. They don't believe in Zionism. It's a very different politics going on there. If India has played footsie with that, well, that will be a tragedy.
I'm also waiting for some kind of a response from MEA. So far, I don't think any of the Modi ministers are going to talk. They're all busy with the cabinet meeting, which has just happened. So let's see what is the response which MEA gives on this story. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Always a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you.